Hi, my name is Gill. This is my golden hour.
Gill from the LilyPad.
Hi, this is Gill. That was my golden hour.
That was like perfectly executed. Nobody ever gets that right.
Yeah. I got it. Shorty gave me time for the code. Had to wake 'em up like it's Folgers. Hey, had to wake 'em up like it's Folgers. Hey, shorty gave me time for the culture. Hey, your boyfriend the eye.
Okay, so Jack, we're good over there? Okay, so this is not our traditional. Hey, if I swing along this side of the table, will I still be in frame? Okay, word. So this is not our traditional space, as most people can tell. We are currently at the LilyPad in Inman Square with the owner, Gill. And right before we started live, he said, "Thanks for coming calling." It's like, damn. I was like, damn, man, I got to up my sales pitch. Yeah, so I came in here, I don't know, was it like 2 weeks ago? Sorry if you thought I was totally pestering you too, man.
No, it's cool. I mean, this is going to be an issue. It's going to fall down all the time.
Good thing you're an audio expert. You got everything.
Like torque arms. What is going on? Oh, I know what's going on. There we go. Perfect.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, people walk in randomly a lot.
Because of the aesthetic of the place or just because they know about it?
I think it's because they know about it or because they had know nothing about it and they're like, what is going on here?
Like, what the hell is all this trippy stuff on the walls?
Yeah, and I'll be in here. I teach piano lessons during the day, and people come in and they're like, is this a concert? It's like
it's a little girl or something.
Yeah, it's like a 9-year-old girl is playing.
It's a concert.
I was like, no, this is not. This is a private lesson. But people are interested in the space.
It's always been like this, like with all the murals.
Well, this is the second mural, and they take a long time to happen.
I'm sure.
And it's the mural's out of my control. I don't request or participate in the.
So what, you like hit up the artist, you're like, hey.
No, the artist does it if he wants to do it. He doesn't do it if he doesn't want to do it.
Same artist for every single mural.
Mm-hmm.
So far. You won't be able to see on camera, but there's these like elaborate, extensive, is it Alice in Wonderland?
No, I don't think it's anything specific. I mean, there's part of it is specific. It's a reference to Spanish painter Goya. That's like a take on one of his paintings, and then on the other side it's all characters from other paintings. But then on this big wall, that's just him letting loose like all night long for months.
This guy had a couple of bouts with acid?
I don't think so. He's just an artist,
This is like most extensive.
There's stuff in the hallway, like up on the third floor.
So how did you meet this guy?
Through Jesse Gallagher, who does all the booking for the LilyPad.
Shout out to Jesse.
Shout out to Jesse. Jesse's responsible for booking all of the shows that come in here, except for the ones that are here on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. And
there are regular shows here?
Yeah, there's the Fringe, Jerry Bergonzi, which are two giants in the jazz world, saxophone players, and amazing jewels of this city it's just incredible that we have them here, and they're here every week. And then there's all kinds of monthly things. Lyle Brewer plays one Wednesday a month on the third Wednesday. Phenomenal guitar player, and these are all sort of jazz guys and I guess I come from a little bit of that background.
That's what you're saying. So you initially, you're from Brooklyn?
I'm from I was born in the Bronx. And then I grew up like schooling age in Scarsdale, New York, which is like a fancy suburb of New York.
Well, me and Jack are from the suburbs too.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I never will move back to a suburb. Never.
Yeah, well, Cambridge is chaotic, man.
I like it here.
You do?
Yeah, it's my favorite place.
I think. So my dad lives in the Mount Auburn side of Cambridge. Are you familiar? Like Fresh Pond area.
Yeah, my wife works over there.
Yeah. So it's just like
That's suburbia though.
not really where his house is. He like lives right above like a housing project.
Oh
and, like,
yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
But he it's just when you come to this side of Cambridge, it's such an eclectically different like not only demographic but the density and like it's just like Cambridge is just the most diverse city. It's insane. Because then you can go to like Harvard Square. You have like all these students, or you could go to Jack. What's that bridge you always do drugs under? but like it's crazy. I mean, I haven't spent a whole lot of time in here. How long have you been in the space for?
Since 2002, so 16 years.
Woo! And has it always had the sort of prestige it does now?
Almost 17 years.
Well, yeah, it's 2019, man.
Holy shit.
Our first episode of 2019.
So no, I guess 16 and a half years. September. I think I moved here June 2002. Moved the piano in. I moved the piano in before. You can't see it on camera, but there's a big grand piano, and this place was sort of a plan since maybe 1998 or so.
You always wanted to run a venue.
What's it that I wanted to run a venue? I wanted to do music all the time and not have to play gigs that I don't want to play.
So you want to make music your full-time job?
Yeah, I just want to live around music. You know, I feel like that's. I think the most important thing to me in music is sincerity, and in general in life, it's sincerity because I don't think anyone really knows if they're right or wrong. I mean, people think they're right or wrong. Well, no one thinks they're wrong most of the time, but almost everyone thinks they're right. But you never know.
For sure, yeah.
But you can always tell if music is moves you, and that's sort of a truth that I don't think you can get in things that are more explicit. So I kind of figured that was a good way to spend my life. And I didn't want to like do a ton of touring or play on a cruise ship or do the kinds of stuff that that I just saw early on that the gigs were dwindling.
What were you doing, like weddings and like bars?
Yeah, I did some, and I like played when I first moved to town, and somehow I got super lucky, and I got introduced to this woman who just opened a restaurant, and then I just played there every night.
In Cambridge?
No, in Boston, downtown Boston. Like it was right next to the old Opera House.
Okay.
There's this restaurant called Zua. It didn't last that long, and it was a friend of mine from Colorado, this guy Bob Engelman, who introduced me to this woman, and she just hired me on the spot.
So how old are you when you get here initially?
25.
Okay.
This is 1993. I was like a ski bum for a couple of years after college. Moved out to
Colorado.
Yeah, I went out to Colorado to Breckenridge.
Yeah, I think that's what Jack and I were just talking about. We've had a couple trips to Copper.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Summit Valley. Is that what it is?
Summit County.
Summit County.
So skiing was always like a big part of my life, and so I just went out there because I didn't want to go to graduate school and I didn't want to get a job. So I went out there, and I ended up getting a job out there, and I didn't play music for about a year, and then started playing at this like blues jam, and it's like, God, I really like playing music. So so I came here to go to Berkeley, and I didn't really enjoy being in a classroom again because I was a little bit older.
Feel you there, man.
So I didn't stay there, and I got a teacher, this guy named Charlie Banakis, who's he's no longer with us, but was a huge, huge inspiration, probably the most influential person in my adult life while he was alive, and still, even though he's not here.
In terms of what, like reintroducing you to like your passion in music type thing, or?
I think it's more than that. Like he was a model of how to, like, I could pattern after him. Like he had it down. He didn't gig. He just taught. He was the most brilliant person I'd ever been around, and I've been around many, many really amazing people like throughout school and here. There's just amazing people all over the place. But he's just sat above everybody, and his ability to essentially be very consistent. He was always in a good mood. He was always really up. I mean, I don't mean just in his mood, but like his pace of thinking and his interests. Like if you brought him a book and we were like, Charlie, I thought this book was really good. I'd love to get your take on it. He would take it and like write a little slip of paper with your name on it and read it and give it back to you. Like, and he would do that for every one of his students. Or if you brought a record.
What was his name one more time?
Charlie Banakis.
Banakis.
He would do stupid things like you walk into a studio and there'd be like a piece of like a Post-it note just stuck on the rug. Just like a blue Post-it note. And then you'd step on it and you'd go down to pick it up and be like, "Hey, Charlie, it's on the floor." He's like, "Oh, no, leave that there. That's for me to remember to tell you that vacation is blah, 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 blah." And then he goes to his notebook and checks it off. It's things like that, like just silly little things or like.
And this is a guy you met at Berkeley?
No, I heard about him at Berkeley. Like when I first got here, I went to to hear everybody play. Mm-hmm. And if there was somebody I really enjoyed their playing, I would go ask them who their teacher was. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter the instrument. And his name kept coming up. And then I met this guy, Carlos Campos, who's teaching an arranging class at Berkeley. And he also taught the Afro-Cuban piano class. So I took those two classes with him, and I asked him to be my private teacher. And so I studied with him, and he knew about Charlie also. And he's like, "You should immediately put your name on the waiting list." So I called the number, and I left a message, and eventually called me back. And it was about a 2.5-year waiting list. And I remember when he called me, he's like,
so this guy was that guy. Like he was.
Yeah, he teaches all over the world. He'll only take would only take a certain number of students from each city. Okay. So he wouldn't compete with the local teachers. And he would do things like, I guess the thing that, wasn't only obviously the information that he had to share was just amazing, but it was who he was as a person that really made such a huge difference for me. And I guess why I bring him up is because I talked to him about wanting to open a venue and how I wanted to do it. Like I wanted to live there. I thought the only way to really be able to pull it off long term is you got to buy a building. You can't be renting because land. If you're renting and you're successful, then they're going to raise the rent on you and really squeeze you. That's always how it goes.
So you own the entire space?
Yeah, I own this building.
Okay.
I mean, the bank owns it.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean? You have a mortgage on it?
Yeah, I have a mortgage on it. And I've had an unbelievable amount of help from former students, parents, from other musicians, from my family. This would never have flown without a support network of people willing to put in money or co-sign loans or whatever it was. I wouldn't have been able to.
You were just shoestringing it for a while?
Oh, yeah. And then we got shut down. I mean, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but well, let me back up. So with Charlie, mm-hmm. I told him about the idea. I was like, I'm going to make it, because he refused to perform because he said people behave badly, just in general in public. So he's like, I don't want to do that anymore. So he just stopped when he was in his late teens, I think, maybe early 20s. Never recorded anything. There's no documentation of his compositions, and this guy's genius, full-on genius.
This is some urban legend, this guy, huh?
No, you look him up. I mean, he is he's influenced so many people at the upper echelons. I mean,
it's just interesting because, so mind you, I am not musical. I don't have any sort of real instrument background. Most of our background's actually in film, but it's interesting hearing it from you because this show more or less is a document for a lot of the kids coming up, but I don't get to hear about a lot of the stuff that was happening when I was just growing up in the city. So was this guy like a staple in Boston music at the time?
Oh yeah, but he wasn't here anymore. He was in Peabody, and then no, he's in Beverly at first, and then Peabody, and then Essex. He had a studio in Essex, and then he went back to Beverly, to the exact same room that he was in the first beginning. And things like he would set up the room exactly the same posters in the same spot, and the windows were always shut, and the shade, you never knew what time it was, and he's just in this room for so many hours a day, but he was teaching,
how do you market your business?
He doesn't have to. He didn't have to do anything. He just So getting back to how the type of person, he could have charged. There's students of his that were charging double what he was charging. So he could have charged whatever, and he figured out what he needed to charge to live the lifestyle that he wanted to live, and he just charged that. Things like that. I said I want to make a venue that is going to be so upright, or like so I don't know, good that you would want to come play here. And he's like, stranger things have happened.
In terms of the way you're running it or the aesthetic, just
like, how people behave. That when people play, that the audience is listening. Mm-hmm. You know, that it's a listening room. It's not a social. It's not just about the social side of things. It's more about
definitely get social in here though, for sure.
Oh yeah, but it depends on the event, right? Yeah. Like if you're doing, and I was only really interested in instrumental music. I was not interested in like everything. So yeah, so Charlie, you didn't have to audition for him. Like anyone could study with him. You just had to wait on the list.
Okay.
So that idea is sort of the same as like I took that idea and I was like, I want that also with the venue. Like
no exclusivity.
Exactly. Like if you just follow the rules, which are very simple, it's like just do it. Whatever you do in here, it's got to be legal first.
Don't destroy it. Don't fuck it up.
Right. And that you are sincere, that you care. You know, that it's like you're doing something because it's meaningful to you, not just because you're showing off. I don't know what the other reasons why people would do it, and so that's why we do it the way we do it. You know, we don't curate in a hard way what happens in here. We just let things happen in here.
I know that's something I totally picked up from you based on all the conversations, because like, so mind you, Gill lives, you probably see all these drums. He lives directly above this.
Yeah, actually this above us right now is a roof, but in the main room, which is pretty small, right? It's like, I don't know, 1,000 square feet or something under that. That is the floor of the ceiling is the floor of my apartment.
Okay.
And then we have 2 floors. Now Jesse used to live on the 3rd floor for like a decade. He lived up there.
That's the guy who books the space.
Yeah.
Damn, what a little
yeah. So we were
family.
like a tight family, exactly. And then there were other people that were involved like at the very beginning that also lived here before I got married and all that stuff. So now it's a little bit more.
This has probably got crazy at some points, right? I'm sure.
It did.
You're
yeah,
like living with all your
absolutely.
Friends running a music
And before
venue.
it was LilyPad, it was Zeitgeist, and we had.
It was called
like,
what?
Zeitgeist.
Is like is that ghost related?
It means like it's spirit of the times is what it translates to. It's a German word, and it means like what's happening right now, I guess. And that was a nonprofit art space that existed before me. I mean, I wasn't involved with them, but then they were looking for a space because they lost their space, and I was looking for a space because I lost my space. I had a space in Charlestown, in the Charlestown Commerce Center. If you ever go down to
Jack was born, spent his formative years in Charlestown. Are you
Really?
familiar, Jack?
Charlestown, it's like right by the high school. Charlestown Commerce Center. You know where the like cement factory is, and right next to that, there's these there's twin buildings that were in total disrepair. Now they're condos, and then like there are these 2 there's marine industrial buildings. They're a little bit offset, exactly the same. I think they're like 7 floors. That's where I lived. There was Tremont Brewery was on the 1st floor. Bega Breads was on the same floor as me, 6th floor. There was like
This
3
guy's
bike
been everywhere,
manufacturers.
man.
No, it was cool. There was like there's all these recording studios. There's like 4 recording studios in there, and that's actually how, because I was there, and the story to get to that place is just so full of coincidences. Like you got time for the story?
Go ahead, yeah, man.
Like,
keep it rattling.
So I moved from like I said I was in Colorado, right? So and in Colorado, I got this old truck that I loved. It was a 1977 International Scout, which if anyone knows trucks,
This guy Gill needs a documentary, man.
It's a really cool
His life's
truck.
a maze.
So I was working for an engineering company. I met a bunch of guys in the construction business who, one of the guys was really into restoring cars. I had restored, and when I was in college, I had restored Datsun 240Z, which was like, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it sort of looks like an old Jaguar, but it's a Japanese version of that. Really cool car.
Where did you go to school?
Duke University.
Oh, Duke. We got a smart one on our hands, guys.
So good basketball team this year. Yeah. Zion Williamson, unbelievable guy.
Beast.
Anyway, yeah, he's a beast. It's ridiculous. So I fixed up this car, and I had a friend's house like in storage for a couple of years, and then I was like, I'm going to bring it out to Colorado. So I drive my friend's Jeep cross country, and then I drive that thing back. And And I get it out there. It's awesome, like driving that little car in the mountains and all these mountain roads, and it was fun.
Beautiful out there too.
And then I wrecked it. I like ran into a pole, and at the time I was working for this company, and like these construction guys, they saw the car, they liked the car, and one of the guys who restores cars was like, I told him I wrecked it, and I ended up trading him that car for like some work on another car. So I got this International Scout, and I got 2 of them, and we made one out of it, and painted it yellow, like bright Corvette yellow with a black top. Top comes off and big tires on it, the whole thing. Drive it back here, and when I move here, and there's like you never see those cars around here, never. And I'm driving down Memorial Drive, and I see another one, same year, much bigger tires, top off, and it's all primer. I'm like, who is this nut driving this car in this town? I thought I was the craziest person. So I caught up to him, and I followed him. And
You were stalking him.
Yeah, I was stalking him. So I followed him, and he goes over the BU Bridge. So I follow him over the BU Bridge, and I pull up next to him, and he's got a for sale sign on it. And I'm like yelling at him, "Why are you selling your car? I'll buy it for parts." And he's like, "Yeah, I got this great loft. You got to come check out the loft because I'm moving to Puerto Rico." And this is weird, like at the light, over the BU Bridge. So I write down my number, crumple it up, and throw it into his car because it's open. Don't think I'm going to hear from him. He calls me the next day. I go over there, and it's this loft in Charlestown. And he's got like a fireplace, fire's going. And
This is just some guy that,
Yeah,
that
just
you
some
randomly
random guy.
liked his car.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, man, I'm going to buy your apartment from you.
I did. So I like took over his
hilarious.
apartment, and like in the building is Marine Industrial. You're not supposed to live there, but he had a shower and like a little kitchenette, and he had built a loft, and it was just amazing. It was amazing. So I moved there and started having shows.
Where were you living before that space?
Where was I living before this? In Central Square, on Green Street.
Okay. So you've been around.
Yeah, I lived in Dorchester. Well, anyway, so I got that place, started this like quasi venue while I was living there.
So it was always an idea. This was always an idea.
And I don't know if you guys, it's probably not, but there was this standalone. But now where the Charlestown Marina is, and there's like fancy, nice restaurants and hotel and all that stuff that's down there. It was sort of desolate, and there was this freestanding building. That was like 4 or 5 stories high. It was all industrial. It had like those metal I-beams sticking out so you could crane stuff up. And I was like, I want that. I want to put a venue like in the first floor and live on the top floor, and recording studios and like a piano shop. That's and get, and I called it the Music Monolith. And I want this to happen. Told my parents, they're like, you're nuts. I was like, no, I'm going to raise money and I'm going to buy a building. They're like, that's not doable. But that's essentially what happened, but not that building. So I was in Charlestown. I eventually got kicked out of there, but I had met all these people because all this music was happening in that building. Also, the people there introduced me to where I mountain bike all the time, Linwoods, and like this guy Dave Blakeney, who made all the furniture here, had a metal shop there, and I have a bike that he designed and built the frame in the basement, and like that connected me to this whole group of riders. It's really interesting how like one car ride was like an event that led to all these connections that's kind of, I don't know, 2 out of the 4 pillars of my life. Not like
I know what's crazy is what I'm picking up on, like where we're sitting right now is it almost exactly what you wanted? Like,
yeah, pretty close.
That's crazy. You know, a lot of people don't, and at least in my experience with just like talking to people. So this was like your dream was the space, correct?
Yeah.
So you totally executed on it, man. Good for you.
But but the thing was, it was so much luck involved.
Well, yeah, it meandered a bunch of shit, right?
And yeah, and but it's like the luck. I have this weird relationship with luck. It feels so random, but then the fact that I'm maybe a little bit strange and like will stalk somebody in a car and find out.
I'll do the same shit. We're on the same page.
That led to so much. So like just
it's the law of attraction, man.
It's weird, right?
You believe in it?
I don't know what that means exactly. The law of attraction.
It's there's a bunch of different definitions for it. And if my voice sounds hoarse, I'm sorry. To be honest with you, this episode is a total miracle that I pulled off. I was on the phone with Jack yesterday. I couldn't even speak. So let's go. I'm actually not even sick, so I'm not infecting you. Don't worry. But the law of attraction is pretty much like if you put your mind to something obsessively, it will end up coming true. So
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, I sort of think of it differently. I think if you put your mind on something and you
believe it.
Yeah, well, believing is really important. But you first believing it, and then like being really open to like any path that may or may not get you there. You know, that like it sounds corny, but to say yes or to just be open. Because I think that part of it was just noticing that thing, like noticing that I wasn't, like, I guess I noticed cars. I like my son also is like crazy obsessed with cars.
What was your son's name again? I saw him
Arthur.
Arthur.
And I
he
think
has blonde hair, right?
Yeah, he doesn't look at all like me. I guess he looks a little bit like me, but he's like an Irish version of me. But like I just was always into cars. You know, I always had like a weird car, always. Like from the first car that I've had, and just following that and not caring that it was stupid.
That's crazy, man, isn't it? It's just, so you just on that day you just randomly saw the car,
right? And it led to so much. Like not
seems
to
like
say
it's
that
destiny, man.
Right. That's how it always felt. And now that I'm 50, I don't really think like that so much anymore. I think I really subscribe to some magical thinking that was a little bit silly, but at the same time, it all worked out.
No, but I'm on the same page as you. I think there are things, and mind you, I'm just turned 23, but there are things that I think have happened to me that it's like, okay, that's not how I planned it, but the outcome was exactly what I was expecting. Is it the same thing, Conor?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So you're out, you get the crib in Charlestown.
Then they kicked me out.
Why? Noise?
New management. The old management was mob run, and they didn't care what happened. And the guy that was running it,
this was like
awesome dude, and then he went to jail.
Late 90s?
Yeah. He went to jail, which sucked for me and for like everyone who was living, or not living, but like using that building. Because then they brought in somebody who was much more hard ass about.
So
like,
you
the
knew
rules.
it was mob affiliated the entire time?
Not the entire time, but once I was there for a little while.
You're like, there's some shady shit going on here.
I didn't see anything. It's just that I
We're not getting you incriminated. Don't
No,
worry.
no, I didn't see anything. But you can imagine this building is like essentially like so isolated. It's right by the high school. But
the way I'm picturing it's just like a warehouse.
It's two warehouses that are exactly the same, and they're on the Mystic River, and the pier's all burnt out. There was a fire there, and it's a 24-hour marine industrial,
mob,
which
man.
means that they can do business 24 hours. Now and it's totally like industrial wasteland, right? That now there's a Massport brings all the cars.
Yeah, I'm
it used
sure
to be
some
a
business
container
was built there by
lot.
this point, yeah.
So there was just, all. If you watched, was it The Sopranos when they had all that stuff in the container yard, or was that no, that was Wired, right?
The Wire,
That was
yeah.
The Wire. Sorry, not Wired. The Wire. The Wire. Yeah, but it's like you imagine that's basically what was going on. It's in the container. There's like containers right there. It's all industrial. You can do whatever you want, anytime, day or night. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like it was great for musicians. Like,
I'm sure also someone trying to loosely start a business, it was good for you. I'm sure the regulations were a little bit loose.
Yeah, nobody cared what I was doing
yeah,
until we started. Because the internet was still small at that point, and then I had a website, and I posted the shows, and that's actually what got me kicked out.
Because you started.
So then I moved
marketing.
to Dorchester. I was living in Fields Corner. I bought that piano because I was like, my first dream, the first like real dream was to get a good piano, because I grew up with like a Baldwin upright, which is not a bad piano. I didn't like it. I like it now when I play it, but
This is a Kawai piano.
But it's like a big grand piano, and I like played hundreds of pianos to try to find this one. And
that's the instrument you play only is piano, or do you do guitar?
I mean, I can play bass. Like I play
sure you
upright.
probably
I
do
can
all
play
that stuff,
kind of
yeah.
whatever, but like I'm really not.
Piano is your strong suit.
Yeah, piano's my main instrument, and then I can figure out how to play whatever if I need to. But yes, I got the piano. It was my whole apartment, took up my whole bedroom, and it was great. And then I was looking for a building, like checking out all these buildings by like railroad tracks, places where nobody would get upset about the noise, to no avail. And then the girl.
So
that I was
listen,
dating,
kids, there was a lot of trial and error when it came to where you are now. Like,
Yeah,
you took a bunch of L's. You were bouncing around, but
Yep.
at a certain point you just kind of you landed.
Yeah, and even when I landed, it wasn't done because we were renting here. I didn't even know there was an apartment upstairs yet. I just was like, okay, let's put the piano here and let's try making a venue. And we were renting it from the Druid. The Druid owned it. The previous owners to the Druid owned this space too.
I'm unfamiliar with what the Druid is.
It's the bar next door.
Oh, okay, great.
It's a great Irish bar.
Mm-hmm.
So
you get along with them, you see in terms.
Oh
of...
yeah, awesome neighbors. I mean, that's why I say I love this place so much. It's like all the neighbors here are great. We all help each other out.
This space is just totally like, in my opinion, it's just like this, like neighborhood, like little treasure. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you finish your story too, but like, you understand that this space, it's hard for kids to get over to the Middle East if they don't pull a crowd. Like
it's a huge venue.
Exactly.
You're talking about downstairs.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, pretty much any. Like you have to. There's a pressure to produce at the Middle East, which I love. I love throwing big shows. It's like It's a blast. But for kids who are just starting out, and I don't know if you've done this purposely, but I've seen events pop up here with like local and younger artists that would traditionally not have a stage to perform on. So you're the man, bro.
But that is the idea behind this place. Like anyone
hip hop specifically?
No, anything.
Okay.
I mean, literally anything plays. It doesn't have to be music.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do more sort of local film screenings way back. People, you can do anything here. And I think we should do more of that. And I wish there were we used to have local animators come and put on shows. And that's all gone. I mean, we just went through everybody and used up all their stuff.
We got some plans. We'll talk about it after.
So, I mean, it'd be great to connect with some whole, like the younger generation of people making films and making, just short films, basically. Mm-hmm. Would be great to have a film night here.
What is the capacity of the space?
97. But that's not seated. That's mostly standing. It's only 36 seats and the rest is standing.
Have there been times where, like, you've had to be like, okay, this is getting a little too big? Like, I'm going to have to...
Well, there's certain shows,
I'm sure.
People don't get in. That does happen occasionally, but it's not the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, the average attendance for something here is probably 20 people.
The event I was at there must have been at least 80 people here.
Yeah.
So when you're upstairs, you don't hear this stuff?
Oh, no, I hear it.
You're just kind of immune to it?
Yeah. Yeah, unless I hear a loud crash.
Your son is destined to be a rock star.
You should see my daughter.
Oh, they can both play?
Yeah, it's crazy. She's 3 and he's 2. I mean, she's going to be 4 soon, and he's 2.5. And
you gotta crack the whip on both of them.
How musical they are.
Yeah, just crack the whip on both of them. Just go psychotically hard.
That's right. No, that's what I do. I torture. I say, if you don't make it, you're not my children.
Nice. That's what we need out of you. Great. Yeah, let's get a signature now.
No, they're just, that's all they know. Like when they were really little, we didn't have the 3rd floor and we were just on the 2nd floor, so it would be really loud in there. And I remember, this is before my son was born, my daughter was still very young, and I was changing her diaper and she was not happy. She was crying. And
Take this flute.
Yeah, they were setting up a show down here, and it was like a heavy show. It was like a rock show, but like heavy, dark music. and they were sound checking, and then the bass player and the guitar player both like hit an octaver, and everything dropped an octave. It was like, bruh. And she was just on the changing table, and she just stopped crying and just like relaxed and put her head back and her arms back.
This is like the most classic Hollywood story. I'm telling you,
crazy.
The kids are the next American Idols.
No, they ask for music all the time, and she has favorite songs, and she has lyrics, and she makes up songs all the time, and he makes up songs all the time, and it's very natural for them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, that's also part of it. Like, both my parents are physicians, right? They're both doctors. So, and they're immigrants. So they had to
from where?
From Bulgaria. So they had to, they grew up in a world that was occupied by the Nazis. It's like a difficult childhood, scary shit. Bulgaria was one place where the Nazis did not exterminate the Jews. They just they restricted their movements, and there's curfews. They had to wear the yellow star, all that stuff.
So sorry, are you Jewish?
Yeah.
I was gonna say this isn't even. I want to make sure I'm not sounding insensitive, but the Anne Frank story was similar to didn't her family run a business on the base level?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I went to Amsterdam once, so I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I went to her house when I was in Amsterdam. I don't really remember that.
It was
much.
crazy. You haven't been to Amsterdam just yet? Did you go to Anne Frank house? It's such a crazy, like, they're like tucked away in this tiny little thing. Nonetheless, there was some crossover from what I was thinking. I was like, okay, there's a business here, and there's like all these like.
Well, I think that was more normal. Is
Yeah.
that like people lived
Above their business.
above their businesses?
Now it's not as normal. You're familiar, right?
Yeah, no, it's very rare now.
You're the man, bro. You're killing it.
Well, it's great though. Like I walk down like 15 steps and I'm at work. You know, I mean, how great is it? And like all these restaurants and all these really, really
Well, if you
genuinely
love
nice
love
people.
the work.
Yeah, I mean, I love teaching.
I know, but some people are like, okay, I want some space from the office type thing.
No, I know. I don't even like leaving here.
So I think what's interesting is there are so many. Mind you, me and Jack are somewhat for our age like business savvy, so we understand it. But there are
Conor, right?
Conor, yes, that's my name. You can call me Big Bochi or C Diddy if you'd like. But we understand like there are so many people who really love music. They might not be the most talented person of all time, but they want to somehow create an occupation out of it. Is there any wisdom you can give these individuals? Because it's not easy.
Many revenue streams. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do lots of different things so that when one thing goes up, or if one thing goes down, you can rely on another part. I don't think you can be too. If you box yourself in, then you can start getting fearful. Like if things don't go well, and then once you're afraid, it's very hard to act with conviction. You know, you have to.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to believe, and the only way to believe is to also have some thing that's like you're getting positive feedback from. So you have to have some successes, even if you're having. Right, you're going to be a lot of failures and whatever. If you're doing something that's hard and that you care about, you're going to fail a bunch, right? In order to succeed, like failures are successes, right? They are like how
it's part of it.
Anyone who's very successful, they just are okay with
taking
sucking.
a loss. Yeah,
yeah, and you got to be willing to do that. And I think that was hard for me. I think I grew up a little bit feeling like everything should always just go right, and I got very lucky, as you can tell, right? Like a lot of things did go right.
Yeah, but you say that in hindsight. I'm sure during the time before you created the space, you were like, holy shit, I am way in over my head.
Well, when we got shut down, like I was telling you, we was Zeitgeist before, and then the Zeitgeist and I, like the building went into foreclosure.
Oh,
had to
buy the building. What year was this?
This was 2004.
And so what, you weren't paying rent or?
No, it wasn't us. It was the Druid owners. They were fighting with each other. It's a different ownership now. Mm-hmm. So it's not nothing to do with the guys that are there now. But before, these guys were fighting between them. They each had their own lawyer. They were partners, but they were no longer friends. And so one of them wasn't paying one mortgage or whatever, and they had two mortgages on the building. So one mortgage company was foreclosing on them. And so I got a letter in the mail slot, like, stop paying your rent to so-and-so, pay your rent to me. And I was like, what does this mean? And so
it also sounds mob affiliated.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was, but definitely corrupt lawyers involved, for sure. And so we ended up buying the building. Me and this guy, Alan Carey, who was involved with Joseph from the Middle East.
Okay.
And they together are partners in the Armory in Somerville. So he's still involved in like the music scene in one way or another. But I got somebody to buy him out, and then now that guy's sort of out of it. Now it's just me.
But you've held it down.
Yeah, but so when the building went into foreclosure, we had to come up with a way to buy the building. I got a lot of help from my student parents, and I was like, Zeitgeist, you guys, if you want to get in on this, you can actually buy into the building, and they didn't want to do it, essentially. I don't know if they didn't trust the situation or they didn't have the resources. I'm not exactly sure, but basically they opted to leave. And so that's when it became the LilyPad. Because I couldn't.
That
come
was
up
your
with
idea, LilyPad?
Not the name. The name was not my idea. The name, I couldn't
It's
come on.
one-
I wanted to
one
call
L.
it the nose.
The nose?
Yeah. And they're like, no, that's my friends are just like, no, absolutely not. You cannot call it the nose. I was like, but no, the nose is in front. And they're like, no, you can't call it the nose. And so they wanted to
I
call
think
it,
LilyPad was a good choice, man.
they wanted to call it GillPad. And I was like, I don't want my name on it. And they're like, well, what about LilyPad? I was like,
GillPad.
okay.
That'd be clever.
So GillPad is actually like the corporate name. There's no corporation, it's just me, but that's the corporate name.
In the books.
In the books, it's GillPad. But yeah, so we became LilyPad and we opened, right? This exactly the same as Zeitgeist. Everything was the same. Room was the same. The way that we did things was pretty much the same. It's just much more music focused, less art. And we got shut down like right away.
Booze, underage booze.
No. Just all kinds of code violations. Like the building wasn't fireproofed appropriately. We didn't have fire-rated doors. We didn't have a fire-rated ceiling. The doors opened the wrong way. We didn't have exit signs. We didn't have... It's all stuff I didn't know about. Like if you're ever going to open a venue,
starting.
you have to know the law. And I did not know the law. So,
Listen
you know,
up.
yeah, I'd love to, someday, maybe you and I can collaborate and we'll put together a little short video of what you need to, if you want to open a venue, even if you want to open a temporary venue, who you need to talk to. Like, make sure you talk to the police. Make sure you talk to the licensing commission. You get all your ducks in a row.
Keep paying people under the table.
No,
I'm telling you.
no,
bro.
nothing under the table. You just do it right, and you got to know which questions to ask. You need to know which lawyer to talk to, and this you can make stuff happen, but you can't do it the wrong way. So I did it the wrong way, and they just immediately came and shut me down. And they were like, "You have to do this, 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 and this." And I literally was crying. Like I went to the license. I was like, you can't do this. This is my life. Like I put everything into this. I got all these people to give me money to buy this building, and I'm all in, and you're gonna shut me down, and what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna pay the mortgage?
This is Cambridge City Hall.
Yeah, and
Choke slam the mayor.
no, so I put everything on credit cards. I had really good credit at the time,
This guy was winging it, man.
and I had $60,000 worth of credit debt to do the room, and we did the room, and we got back open.
So, kids, that's a reference, and this is in early 2000s.
Yeah, this is 2005,
Okay, so
and don't.
it was $60K to start up a room that has a capacity of 100 people. It takes effort and it takes money to do something.
Well, it was way more than that. Was just what I put on credit cards. So.
Yeah, so it's
it's
just
way
like
more
you
than
can't
that.
just you gotta build this type of shit.
And if you do it, underground, you can do it for a very short amount of time, but you will eventually get caught, or something bad will happen, and you may go to jail. And like if somebody gets hurt, like that guy who did that space out in California that burned and killed all those people, right? Like he's that artist space.
That rave was it? That rave?
I should know more, but
I don't.
he
I'm not
started.
big
He
into
had
this.
like a artist community, and they had shows and stuff there, and all these people lived there, and it was.
You
I mean, there's
talking about Charles Manson.
No. Recently, I'll look. Well, we can look it up later. But basically, he was trying to do something very selfless and kind, super hippie, like super vegan, never hurt anything, like saved every animal that he found that was hurt, gave a place to people for people to stay, made this whole thing, grew food on the property, did all this stuff.
There was no
and then there was a
regulation,
fire and all these people died, and now he's going to go to jail. So things can go wrong so quickly that you really, if you want to do something and have it last, you got to do it right from the ground.
Foundation.
Or if you do it wrong and you want to fix it, it's very hard. It's doable, but it's hard. You have to suffer a lot and spend a lot of money and energy to fix something once you've already started. If it's not right from the start, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if I'm making a ton of sense, but
just sack up and build the foundation right before you just go. Yeah, absolutely.
And it wouldn't be that much money if I had done it right from the beginning. It would have cost me a lot less.
Yeah, so that's my question. So, are you not money motivated, from the start? Because
it's never. I don't even do accounting until it's tax time, so I don't even know if we're making money or we're losing money. I know
you don't give a fuck.
It's not that I don't give a fuck. I have a family. Of course I give a fuck. It's that I'm not motivated by money in the sense that I don't want that to be the reason why I do anything.
It's always been like that.
Yes, it's always been like that. But that probably comes from my dad.
Well, he was a physician. I mean, he must have been a successful guy, right?
Yeah, but he grew up in, he after the war, after the Second World War, he bought into communism. I mean, he understands now that
There are
it was a
shortcomings
failed
with it.
experiment. But the idea that you only need what you need, and that just accumulating money or stuff for the sake of it, or to appear big or powerful, or to show off, or that's a waste of time. And what's really important is the people that you're surrounded by. It's your family and your friends and like your community. That stuff is way more important than any amount of money. And like how you get to live your life every day. And if you're doing things to make a lot of money that are dissonant in your being, it's just not worth doing, because life is really short. You don't realize, none of us realize it, but it's really short. You got one shot.
Feel you. Totally feel you.
You just got to do what you believe in.
So were you ever pressured to like go work a traditional job or
Of course.
corporate?
Of course. Of course. When I went to college, I wanted to switch to a music major. My parents were like,
Dude,
that's fine.
no.
You want to do that? Fine. You pay for college. And in my mind, that was like, you can't do it. It didn't occur to me that I could be like, okay, and go get a job and go pay for my own schooling, or work really hard and try to get a scholarship and do it. It didn't even occur to me.
So were you
I
like
was
a finance major or something?
No, I was engineering, mechanical
Okay.
engineering. But I like the idea of leaving my friends and stuff at school when you're 18, 19, I didn't have that kind of strength at that time to be just like, all right, fine, I'll do it my way. I was like, all right, parents, I'll do engineering. And so I did it. I liked my professors. I did okay. In the beginning, I struggled. I didn't know how to study. But after a while.
So were there pressure from your friends or
No.
Okay.
No,
but
just my parents.
Societally, it's like, okay, you're going to the sixth school, man. Your parents are both successful. You should probably go get a traditionally lucrative job.
I didn't think about it.
Not even?
No. I didn't even interview for any jobs.
Nor did I.
No, like they had all these like job fairs where you go and interview, and people make a lot of money.
But you knew you were a smart guy, though.
Yeah, it's not about intelligence, though.
You don't think it's about intelligence?
To make money?
No. I'm saying you had the confidence to be like, okay, I'm kind of a smart guy. I'm pretty self-aware. I think I could probably figure this out on my own. I'm not going to force myself into a job I know I'm going to hate.
No, it wasn't that kind of wisdom. I just wouldn't do it. I don't know why I wouldn't do it. Probably not positive reasons. I was probably too insecure, or I didn't want to compete. I didn't like compete. I used to like ski race and stuff like that, but I don't like I like the skiing. I like going through gates. I like playing sports, but I don't like
stacking up against someone else.
Yeah, I don't like the numerical component of it, because I don't think that that's like really how we should be motivated. I think we should be motivated to be improving ourselves all the time. And I know it's very idealistic, and it's not realistic in the society that we live in. But that's the life I want to live. Like, I don't want to live in this life where somebody can measure me by a number.
Well, no, what's crazy is I think what you just said to me, it's like the space is a total reflection of what's in your head. Would you say?
It's like, I don't know if you saw the poem in the front. Like, it's Lao Tzu. It's Taoism. Like, my dad and Lao Tzu. In terms of the wisdom, like the way the ethos for my life is based on Taoism, really, and which is roughly speaking what my dad always said to me when I was growing up. He's like, money doesn't matter. Like, I have a job that pays well because I like medicine and I'm a pediatrician and I'm good at what I do.
And he it was his passion, medicine, or
yeah, and it was a way to get out. Like, when you're an immigrant, that's like a way you can go anywhere in the world and work. Right, so he was stuck in Bulgaria. Right, he had to escape. He couldn't go back to see his dad. His dad died in Bulgaria. He went back at the end of his dad's life, but before that, he couldn't go back. So he left his mom and dad there, and went to Israel, and then didn't see them. My mom left and took her mom with her, and her dad was already gone. So she brought her mom with her to Israel. They got married in Israel. They met in Bulgaria. They got married in Israel. Then they came here, and they were planning to go back, and then they just stayed.
Is you grateful, man? Honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine if we were immigrants. Like, holy shit. I think sometimes. Well, here's another question. So I've thought a lot about, I'll call it loose communist thought, right? Like, okay, everyone could just self-grow and like work on themselves. Do you think that would make people, and you're not a lazy guy at all, but do you think that would make people inherently lazy?
I think
if there was no competition,
I think, I think I said earlier, like about like the value of community, and what I think that really is about is that it's context for our lives, right? So, why do people want to go to a quote unquote good school? And it's not because it's partially because the teachers are really good, and you hope that that's a reason. But
a lot of them want to make their parents happy and look
no, but
good.
that's not the real reason. The reason that the parents want them to go there, and it's hard to see it, and I kind of see it now, is that you want, like for me as a parent, like what I want for my children is to be surrounded by other kids that are interesting, challenging, that are gonna help my kids get more engaged in their lives, not get them engaged in something that is going to be a short path to unhappiness in the long run. So I think that in that sense, like what we're doing is just like the support network and the context in which we live our lives is really important. So I think I wouldn't do this if I didn't have the parents that I had, and I used to be a little bit angry with my parents for not supporting me doing this in the beginning, or being a musician, for example. They were like, why don't you just do it as a hobby? And I was like, I don't want to do it as a hobby. I want to spend my life doing it. And from their perspective, as a classical pianist, if you weren't famous or going to be famous by the time you're 13 or 14, why bother? Like, you have no shot. If you're not a virtuoso in your early teens, and probably before that, the same way, like in basketball today, right?
If a kid's going to be a star.
Yeah, like Zion Williamson, right? If you ever look at his high school highlight clip, it's obscene, and they knew about him when he was in junior high school. Colleges are already checking him out, and it's the same thing for classical music, right? And it's like you're either gonna make it or you're gonna be unhappy, right? And you're gonna know that before you hit puberty almost. And so my parents, that was their view, right? So they were like, why would you want to do that? It's just going to be paid. Yeah, I was resentful that that's how they looked at it. But in the end, I understand that they just wanted me to have the best chance of happiness, and they couldn't envision this life for me because that's not something that was in their experience. Nothing like this type of life existed for anyone that they knew.
So were they like hard-fasted immigrant parents in terms of like making sure you're on your schooling, making sure like you got to be successful because we didn't have the same opportunities you're going to have?
No, it was just understood I was going to be. It wasn't like
I feel the
they
same
harassed
way,
me.
Yeah.
They never checked my, unless something bad happened, they never checked my report card.
It was an obligation.
They never checked my homework.
Yeah.
Never. Like they weren't like, did you do your homework today? It was just understood. But I never brought homework home. I was done with homework by the time school was over. I didn't bring books home. Like I just did it before I left school.
Entrepreneurial, man.
It just wasn't hard. Like that stuff wasn't hard for me. Like school was not hard for me. The piano was hard. Like piano, my teacher was tough on me, and I'm still very close with her, my childhood piano teacher. But the challenge of playing piano at the level that she wanted me to play at was much harder than anything that was going on in school. So I never developed like really good work habits, and that's why I struggled when I got to college my first semester. After that, it was cool, but I never really learned work habits until I decided to really be a musician full time. And then it was like the process of learning how to really work hard, like how to really practice with sustained effort and sustained focus. I think I was very easily distracted, and I think that I learned stuff very quickly, but I didn't necessarily get that deep in my understanding of whatever it was that I was doing. But now it's a whole different story for me. Like I can practice all day. I mean, it's late, like if I could do this when I was 12, it would have been a lot easier for me to like have a career as a pianist. But I don't really care about having a career as a pianist. Like I love doing what I'm doing, and I keep working my ass off, and I will continue to do that until I can't possibly do it.
That's my guy.
Just do it. But But it wasn't motivated by. It's not motivated by accomplishment. It's not motivated by having a career. It's not motivated by like applause. I mean, I play at 11 o'clock on Wednesday nights, basically saying, no, please, nobody come to my concert. You know, that's how I do it, so that I can be free to just try whatever like is interesting to me and not feel any pressure to appease anyone. And that's the same thing with this place. It's everything is sort of that underlies a lot of how I feel about life. Is I want to do it because it's interesting to me and it's fun and it's challenging, and it's going to hurt sometimes because I think anything that's of value requires a certain amount of suffering.
Absolutely.
And not arbitrarily. It's just that's part of the process, right? If it's
you gotta callous your brain.
Yeah, you're going to get beat up. It doesn't matter if it's a sport or if it's a academic pursuit or a business pursuit. People who are really good at business, they lose a ton of money before they make a ton, or while they're making a lot of. I mean, they're willing to just like risk it.
Well, yeah, I think that's another thing a lot of people can take from this is that like I don't know when I excuse me. I don't know when I necessarily developed it, but I don't know why people would not take risks. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. It's like, yeah, you took a bunch of risks, right? Without the risks, you wouldn't have developed the venue you wanted. If it's more of a risk not taking risks, because then you're gonna live unfulfilled as fuck. Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Like I just at the end of school. So mind you, I was already for a couple of years now. I've just been busting around doing a bunch of stuff like pursuits and stuff. All of my friends, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a good portion, they force themselves into these corporate jobs that I know they'd be so much better off doing other shit. And I was like, dude, like this life is like, it's like a timer for the most part. What happens when we're like 75, 80 and you look back, it's like shit. Like I wish I did that. How profound was that? But I mean, I just think what you've done here is you built something sick totally just because you put your mind behind it.
And I had people that were willing to
support system.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it by myself, and then the people who just showed up and like stuck around, like people who showed up to like, we're here at an event, and we're like, I needed some help for something, and I just stayed and like continued to help for years and years. You know, that's the story of this place. People gravitated towards it, and the people that cared about it stuck around.
So you never worry about business success anymore? It's just like, let's just keep this thing running.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about like, okay, I have X amount of events this week. X amount of people are going to come in. Never.
No, I mean, my wife works. I teach piano. We're in a situation where, I mean, if we got shut down for a few months, that would be very hard. Mm-hmm. We'd still survive, but it would be very hard. But as long as we're open and people come and do their stuff here, we don't have to grow a ton. And that also was another thing that was from the beginning. There was the people who did, and some of the people who invested in this place or helped me out in one way or another were sort of anxious to see a return in a way. They were like, well, so how's it going? Are you making money? And I'm like, I don't really know if I'm making money. And if I am, I'm putting it right back into the place. So I'm not in a hurry to see some sort of return. I'm not going to, if I wanted to like make money, and just sell the building. I mean, this building is worth like 3 times what it was when I got it.
Oh, I'm sure, because Cambridge is now.
It's crazy. And I get, I get stuff in the mail all the time. But I have no interest. Like there's no way that I would walk away from this. So life is great here. And what's happening, so many people are like, we had so much fun here. Or like, this wouldn't happen if it weren't for you, And it's not me, it's the place, It's like even the furniture, like, people used to complain a lot about how, the seats are unpadded, blah, blah, blah. There's no backs on the chairs. It's just like, well, okay, fine. You're right.
You're dogging it. Yeah, absolutely.
You're right. But all this furniture nests, and I can get rid of it all in a flash. And this place can go from like a seated, nice, quiet place to like a party venue in 5 minutes. And no one's going to hurt themselves moving furniture.
So speaking of party venue, can't see. Jack, can you just make sure the camera's still running? I'm just eternal paranoia. I love you, bro. You're really
You guys
that
are
guy.
good. It's good to have lifelong friends, huh?
Yeah, we'll be buddies forever, even though sometimes we want to gouge each other's eyes out. You can't see, but there is a bar in the corner of the space. Is that newly acquired, or people have always been able to drink here?
No, people have not always been able to drink here.
So you had to go to City Hall, get the liquor license.
Yes, I was opposed to it. I didn't want to do that because then I
You're
thought,
a party pooper, dude.
yeah, well, I mean, remember I talked about Charlie. One of the things Charlie didn't like was people drinking, and I was like, I want a place where people come only to listen. It's not about getting drunk. But the reality of the financial situation was we had to grow. Otherwise, I would have to do every job forever.
And also, there's a tie-in between live music and booze.
Absolutely.
You just release your inhibitions a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sure the events became a little bit more lively.
Oh no,
started offering
it's a
booze.
huge asset. Huge asset. I didn't see how much of an upside it would be, and because we only have beer and wine, people aren't doing shots
Unless you're bringing in Henny bottles.
Right? No
Hey,
Henny
oh,
bottles.
yeah,
No
give your
Henny
PSA.
bottles.
Give your PSA.
No Henny bottles. It will get us shut down, and it would be bad. And then this place won't be here, and we'll all be very unhappy. There'll be a dentist office in here, and I'll be way richer, but everyone else won't get to do their stuff. So if you want to make me rich and get rid of art happening here, then keep breaking the rules, because then we'll just stop doing this. Or there'll be absolutely no rap shows, that would suck, because I tell you, like, this neighborhood, that's what.
So everyone
If you
listens to
really want to have like the neighborhood in this room, which is something that's really important, then we have to have those shows here. And in order to have those shows here, we can't have people taking advantage of the space, which is taking advantage of me personally, because whether it's like the stuff, like the bathroom getting tagged, this is just simple things. Like, why tag the bathroom? Now I got to paint the bathroom. You know, don't go downstairs into the basement and smoke down there. Don't, just go outside.
Could we see the basement after the piece?
If you want to, yeah.
So listen, I'll speak for him. This guy is nothing but a servant to the community. He has provided a space for. It doesn't matter if you're like the most poppin' rapper, if your music's even that good. Honestly, I don't even think he's really gonna curate it. He just wanted to create a space that, as long as you respect it, keep it running. Am I right?
That's right.
Cut me a check, dude. So, are you aware of the state of Cambridge/Boston music? Are you with the scene, or is it kind of just like, hey?
No, I'm not with the scene. I don't go to like the Boston Music Awards or like any of that.
They would
stuff.
definitely invite you to if you.
No, they did. They did. I just don't like to go to those kind of things. So for me, it's like the social part of it is not interesting for me. I wish it was. It's just not. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I don't know if that comes across at all now. I feel like I'm not that introverted when there's.
Well, also probably
happy to tell the story, but
yeah,
I prefer to just stay here and practice and then
Do
hang
your
out with
work.
my family. Yeah.
Well, there's an attitude right now in Boston music where it's like the crabs in a barrel type thing. You know what I'm saying? Are you
No,
familiar with the
explain it.
analogy?
No.
Crabs in a barrel. So you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket. They're all trying to get out, but when one tries to get out, it climbs over the other one and
I
pulls it
understand.
down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
cycle. So it's a very divisive community right now.
The musicians or the venues?
We should talk about both. There is no space for Boston music right now where the scene can really grow. Because you can go play at the Middle East. Shout out to the Middle East, because we'll still definitely always throw shows there. But there has to be like an underground wave. You know what I'm saying? In order to like really grow the scene and create opportunities.
What
for
about the
artists.
house concert scene? Is that still does that happen much?
Infrequent. So there was a space in Roxbury called the Inner Sanctum. Are you familiar? That they were throwing big shows there. It kind of got shut down. I don't want to speak for it. I don't know exactly what happened, but I was talking. There was a publicist team that came on the show, and they said that they think artists need their own space for the space to grow entirely. Right now, it's very divided. As a wise man in the music community, how could that shift? How do you think that the scene could grow and create more opportunities kind of like what you've done and made music your job? Because that's pretty much what all these kids want, except for fame and money.
I mean, you need a patron, maybe.
Like one guy.
Yeah, I mean, if there's somebody in the scene who's made it and has that
Couldn't
kind
agree
of money,
more.
then I don't understand. And I don't understand why this doesn't happen more. Why somebody who has the ability to kind of put down some cash and set up a nonprofit to buy a building in an area that is still developing, and there's all these pockets all over the place. I mean, I don't know enough about real estate, but it seems to me that there's like tremendous opportunity in Chelsea. There's some amazing buildings there, and things are not through the roof yet. Maybe heading out Route 99, towards Everett.
It's too far out, though.
Too far out.
It's like you're in the perfect space.
And there was until just a minute ago. Now they're actually building, but right at Sullivan Square, right across from the bus station and the T stop. Those lofts, man, I've been looking at those for like a decade and a half, thinking, man, I wish I could buy that. It was on for sale.
The LilyPad too.
That'd be sick, I mean, and if I could do it, if I had deep pockets, which I don't, but if I did, I would buy buildings around here and like make it so that artists can live in this neighborhood still. It's getting too expensive. Everyone has to leave. So I don't know where people are going to go.
How
But a patron, somebody should come up and like set up a fund to make a building and do it right with all the fire safety stuff and have a gathering room that's like throw shows a couple times a month, and that you got artists that are coming through, and that it's not too mired down with a huge board, that nonprofit, you only need, I think, 3 people on the board. You get like 3 smart people who are not petty, and you just make shit happen. And you don't need a ton of money. You just need like some to start. And if you can get a liquor, especially if you can get a beer and wine license, you can pay the mortgage.
Well, I'm not suggesting that someone opens up a space similar to this.
Oh, well, why not though? I mean, there's room. There's room for more. It's like you were saying, there's no place. And it's not that hard to do it. You just need somebody to commit their life to doing that. And I think that's the hard part. People want to have a venue and then like go and do other stuff. You can't. You got to be there kind of all the time.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who want to capitalize on music right now because that's where all the attention is. I mean, you've probably seen over the years people who are around music kind of like it, but it's not their passion. Like a lot of kids now want to be rappers or hip-hop artists just because that's the popular thing to do. That'll bring you a lot of attention. It has to be someone kind of like you who will bleed to create the space for other people. There are not many selfless people like that. You understand that, right?
But it's not just for them. It's for like those people are the same as me. Like I made the space for me because I write music and I didn't want to have to go and play music that other people wanted me to play. I wanted to play what interested me. So I knew that if I want to do that, I have to control the space so that no one can tell me what to do. That was the initial motivation. It wasn't selfless at all. It was totally selfish. But that I'm not any different from you or anyone. Like we all have the same essential motivations. Like we want to do what we want to do. And so I realized that there's a lot of people that are like me. And I'm a pianist. There are no good pianos. There's no venues with a piano that's in tune if it's used all the time. Only the corporate higher end venues, and they have somebody come in and tune the piano before a show. And if you're going to play shows there, then you can only play once every few months, and you can't play any other shows in the same town. So that's how they make it. So they make sure that they have the right attendance, right? So there was no place to play. So I made a place to play.
So
for me, right? But there's tons of other people like me.
So,
and then it's not just pianists. It's sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No,
It's
no.
like,
You're right.
I was thinking instrumental music, but there's everything happens here. Dance, literally anything can happen here.
What do people have to do to get a show here?
Just send an email to bookthelilypad at gmail.com.
Are you comfortable with telling your rate on camera? If not, it's fine.
Yeah, it may go up in the next year a little bit, but depending on the night of the week, I'm trying to think, do the math. Yeah, so it's like $85 an hour, and they're in 3-hour slots.
Kids, that's nothing.
And that comes furnished with the PA and a sound person and like all of our backline. You can do whatever you want.
Not free booze though. A beer is
Uh,
$4.50.
Depends. A PBR is $4 and a lamplighter can is $10.
You guys are running it steep over here, man. We were cool until you said $10 beer. What's good with you?
Oh well, they cost a lot and they're really good and they're brewed like right around the corner on Broadway. Yeah. So we sell a lot of lamplighter actually. As soon as I found out about them, I really wanted to have them here, and they've been great to us. And also we have Bantam cider, which is brewed right around the corner, and we have Harpoon, who was like our first major. That was when we first started serving to get the liquor license, by the way, for those who are interested in doing this. And also, if you do house shows, you can get a 1-day liquor license. It's not hard to do. You just go to the licensing commission. You say, I want to get a 1-day liquor license. And then you have to go to the police and get approved. And then you get a license. And you can literally, with that license, go to Harpoon, buy kegs, and have a show. Or you can go to any other legit distributor. You have to go to a distributor, not a liquor store. But you can go to a distributor or a brewery and get set up and have a show and sell alcohol legally. And like that's the way to do it. And you can basically get one a month.
Sounds like a lot of work, man.
I did that for every show.
A lot of paperwork.
I did that for a whole year.
Well, I'm going to be honest. You came off like it was going to be easy, but then you're like, you got to go there, this, do that.
Why is that hard?
I don't know, bro. My knee's been hurting me.
No, I mean, but you can, right? I mean, You think about it. That where else in the world can you just be like, I want to be a bar for a night? And it's that easy. You just say, I want to do it. And they'll say yes. It's not like you got to be somebody
There's
special.
the Popo right there. What's he doing? You getting some trouble recently?
No, he's busting people taking an illegal left turn off of Hampshire, which is great because they're redoing this whole intersection.
And you got kids.
And I have kids. They're redoing it because they killed somebody killed a cyclist here with a gardening truck, and then I've had to jump out of the way of cars crossing Cambridge.
Yeah, it
Street.
gets busy in Inman's.
Sucks. They're fixing it though, and it's gonna be really hard on all the walk-by businesses for like 2 years. It's gonna take 2 years to complete this project, and people are not happy about it. But I don't think it's gonna affect us at all because
Inman's is gonna start like most, not most, but other areas of Cambridge. This is gonna start booming.
you think.
Oh yeah, Cambridge is the spot, man.
Yeah,
you hit the
I wonder
lottery.
I wonder what it's gonna be like in like 5-10 years.
Well, this place is gonna be popping.
Yeah, we'll still be here.
Oh yeah.
I just wonder what if the businesses will still be here, the ones that are.
Well, yeah, I wonder if like a business to the left or right of you might leave, and you could just make it another like a megaplex.
No, not interested. I would rather do a place somewhere else.
Sorry about the bing. Okay, so on Instagram, we traditionally cut up a clip and we put it just to advertise the episode. Say, hey, go watch a. Come on, man, stop texting me. We put up a clip to advertise the episode. So, what type of shows would you like to see here? No, do you understand that you're supporting the local hip-hop artists? And again, can you just explain the curation process in terms of how people can get shows at the space?
Yeah, if you want to put on a show, you email bookthelilypad@gmail.com. Send links to like any YouTube stuff of the artists that are playing.
No guns.
Yeah, no guns, no weaponry. No threat of violence. I know that may sound bad, but that's like I think the main reason why it's hard to have hip hop shows anywhere.
That's just part of image a lot of the time. So not everyone's toting guns.
I mean, and I mean I don't worry about it here, and we haven't had really any problems. We had one guy get aggro with somebody working here, and that doesn't need to happen. I mean, the issue is just following the law. Following the law, being considerate. Holy shit, that is like just got to be considerate, and that's it. That's all you need to do.
And if you do those things, be considerate. Email you.
Well, it's Jesse that you'd be emailing.
Email Jesse. Be a good dude. Your music doesn't even have to be that good.
Right. Don't complain.
You can
Be thankful.
throw yourself a show here.
Yeah, it's easy. It's very easy, and like you do a good job, and then you can do it again. And if like stuff's out of control, and we are getting nervous because, people are being really loud on the street, and it's really rowdy outside, and like inside, I'm worried about the physical safety of the room itself or people in it. Then there won't be another one. And it got to the point where it wasn't going to happen anymore. Rap was just not. Hip hop shows were not going to happen here. But Jesse convinced me to continue doing it. He's like, I got the guys who do a good job booking and they control the room, and it's cool. And we also have Maria bartending, who is amazing at having the room be cool and it doesn't get too loud, and it's like she just does a phenomenal job. And I think that is a big part of the difference, is that she's just here in the room versus maybe somebody else who is bartending and doing sound that might not give off the right vibe, and things get a little contentious.
And if you guys do it right, I'm just thinking of the numbers in my head, you can honestly make some money throwing your own show.
Oh, yeah. You can definitely make money because you control the door. You rent the room, right? You pay the whatever it is, $255 for a Friday or Saturday night.
So then sell a $10 ticket. If you sell 26 tickets, you're already in the plus, man.
Exactly. And you got 3 hours, and not everyone stays for the full 3 hours, so you figure you can get 100, 150 people through the room if you have a bunch of different acts, right? Because some people come and then they leave. They see who they're going to see.
You can make $900. Kids.
Easy. And I've seen it. I've seen people walk away when they've charged like $25 and packed the room. People walked away with thousands of dollars for like 3 hours of the whole thing from start to finish, set up and tear down.
Throw a show here.
Yeah.
This is opportunity.
Definitely.
I might throw a show here. You want to throw a show here? Cool. No weed.
Not in the room.
No weed.
So you joking?
Well, yeah, don't come in here and smoke.
No, don't smoke inside. Oh, that was another thing. Somebody lit up a blunt like in the middle, like in the.
I can see that happening.
That's so bad. It's so bad. Like I have no problem with
they
people
rip
smoking
them
weed.
at the Middle East. I don't know. There's like it's tough, especially when the crowd's big, to like see where the blunt's coming from or like where you're smoking.
Yeah, just don't do that here because it's such a small room, and it sucks when people start doing stuff that makes me afraid that we're gonna get shut down. It's not that I don't want people smoking weed. I don't have an opinion whether people should or shouldn't smoke weed. I think weed is fine. So people should do whatever they want.
You smoke?
Yeah, I smoke weed.
Jack smokes. I'm a little too obsessive to smoke myself, but I've become comfortable with the benefits it offers a lot of my friends. So I like weed.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it too. But
and it's also legal now.
It's illegal, so yeah, maybe I might quit now.
The appeal's not there anymore.
It's breaking the law. But yeah, that's it. Just like don't blatantly break the rules in a way that's going to get us in trouble,
Also, last thing before we finish up, is this room necessarily acoustic? Like, is it soundproof, this room?
I mean, a little bit.
That's hilarious. I know. I had imagine the space itself wasn't built to become something like this, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Hey, man. Well, this was fun. So listen, this is how we start and end these episodes. You say I'm only gonna tell you once. Do not blow it, because then we will never speak again.
What did you say?
You have to say this. Ready? Hi. Your name. Hi, I'm. And this is my golden hour. Then directly after, no break, you say, hi, I'm, your name, and that was my golden hour.
So this is, and then that was?
Got it.
Hi, my name is Gill. This is my golden hour.
Gill from the LilyPad.
Hi, this is Gill. That was my golden hour.
That was like perfectly executed. Nobody ever gets that right. You're a smart guy, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey,